coming up this week, I'm going to be talking about a new series of videos on this channel, and they can be loosely described as Project Green. So before we get to Project Green, let's do Project Run. Let's go for a run. So I'm just like this, in case you're wondering. And yeah, it's still early days after my recent break, which after a cold, which was actually a bit longer. It wasn't until after I shot last week's video that I realised, goodness, it was 3.5 weeks. It was cracking on towards a month that I hadn't been out for. The time just flies by, doesn't it, when you're having fun snotting into a hanky. So yeah, so I'm still going to kind of take it a little bit slow and steady, but it's a lovely day today. The sun is shining, a little bit of a breeze as well. It's just perfect running conditions, I think. So just going to kind of play it by ear, see how I get on.
But I'ma go on my life, you go on with your life, and I hope that our lives don't cross paths. It's better off like that. Yeah, I'ma go on my life, you go on with your life, and I hope the past stays in the past.
Now it might surprise you to find this out, but I'm an old git, and I can remember the 1980s. And back then, people were talking about holes in the ozone layer, about the polar ice caps melting, all that stuff. But we all kind of, I think, I mean I was only a kid, but I think a lot of people felt kind of helpless. Well, some people felt helpless, or what can we do? Other people didn't believe it, and a lot of people just ignored it. So, and the problem is a lot of sort of, I suppose, governments kind of ignored it as well. And governments, this is going to be an ironic metaphor, but it's like turning an oil tanker around, because they take a long time kind of start thinking about stuff like that properly. But with the COP conferences that have been going on, what, 26 years now, things have slowly started to move. And certainly, whereas back in the day you might have been considered a hippie tree hugger if you were into all that kind of eco stuff, which, you know, I think personally there's absolutely nothing wrong with being a hippie tree hugger, and certainly nowadays it's much more accepted, isn't it? That is they were way ahead of everybody else, those hippie tree huggers, I'll tell you. And now people think, yeah, you know what, we should really be doing something, it's really important. And also now it's a little bit more possible to do things. Probably, like me, you probably recycle loads of stuff. I've always been a big fan of recycling. Before the councils really started collecting a lot of stuff, my wife and I got our first place together, a flat. We got a box and we'd put cardboard in it and take it off to the cardboard place. You know, but now, because councils take all that stuff, they take food waste. If they remember to collect it, 2 weeks on the trot this week, my local council have forgotten mine. But, you know, the willingness is there, and it's a good thing. But now, and this is where Project Green comes in, I'm starting to think about what more I can do to kind of up my eco credentials. Well, there we are, run complete. Let's put the times up on the screen. It was slow today, even by my standards, although this is, you know, I haven't done many runs since I've got back from my 3.5 week time off with that cold. I've done 2 runs this week, so I'm quite pleased with that. This is the longest distance I've gone so far, 10k, but yeah, very slow. I saw a couple of runners coming in the opposite direction while I was running. One was a bloke, he had a full thick tracksuit on, I bet he was hot. I waved at him. Don't know, I think he was probably sweating so much he couldn't see me. The other one was a lady who was looking like she was concentrating. I thought this isn't going to go well. Well, I waved enthusiastically at her and her whole face lit up actually. So either I've made her day, or she's going to finish off this evening wondering who that weird bloke was waving at her, who was running along at the speed of an asthmatic snail. Let's talk about Project Green. So we're talking about, you know, recycling and all that kind of stuff. There's all sorts of things that you can do. If you put your house on the market here in the UK, you get something that's called an energy performance certificate. You don't get it, you have to pay for it, of course, and that will tell you how efficient, or really prospective buyers really, how energy efficient your home is. And it will also have recommendations on there for what you can do to improve things. So it might say things like add solar geothermal for your hot water, that kind of thing. Or the thing that most people could get the most benefit from, probably at the cheapest cost, is cavity wall and loft insulation. So it's rated a bit like when you buy an electrical appliance, A to something, G probably. And most homes in the UK apparently are D, which isn't great, but you know, it's better than an F or a G, isn't it? Let's be honest. Now, I last moved house in, hello, white sun. I last moved house in 2009, and my property then got it was a C, the one that I was buying, which is okay, it's above average, so that's all right. I've recently, because the energy performance certificate lasts for 10 years, I've recently got a new one, and during the course of Project Green, I will explain why I've got a new energy performance certificate. And my latest one is a B+, I think it was, and I will also be explaining in a future video why my rating has changed. All of these things will become clear during this series. So you can see what your home has got if you're in the UK by going to the government website. I'll put a link to the relevant web page in the video description below. And in fact, it's in the public record, so you can search for any property in the UK and find out what their energy performance rating for that property is. Very useful when you're buying a place, and just very useful to know anyway. And also it gives you the recommendations, as I said, what you can do to improve your home's efficiency.
I worry that I might turn that corner right into you.
We're at a stage, I think, where people kind of want to do the best on that front, don't they? They want their homes to be efficient and warm and all the rest of it. And technology, I think, has improved of late to enable you to kind of do things on that front. And that's a little bit really what this Project Green is about. I'm going to be talking about various subjects, and I'm not really going to be talking about the obvious stuff like the recycling and all that kind of stuff. That's hopefully obvious. I'm going to be talking about other things. So we will be covering photovoltaics, that's solar panels that you stick on your roof. We'll be talking about heat pumps, air source and ground source heat pumps that you can use. Some people are looking at using those, installing those to replace a gas boiler. I'll also be talking about probably the most exciting of the subjects that I'll be talking about in this series is electric and hybrid cars, particularly electric cars. Very exciting, all of that stuff. And merely for me, the goal is to try and see how I can wean myself off fossil fuels, basically. If I can get to a stage where I am as free as I can possibly be of fossil fuels, that is going to come at a cost. So I think it might be interesting, because a lot of people are thinking about these kind of things, as I try desperately not to get run over. A lot of people are thinking about these things now. So hopefully, hello, this is appropriate. Look, a Tesla's driving past. Here goes a Tesla. Oh, that was I just stood in the thistle bush. That was good. That was clever, wasn't it? Yeah, so it's quite interesting and exciting, I think, all these things that you can do, but as I said, they come at a cost. So I will be talking very openly and honestly about this project and about decisions that I make, costs that may be incurred, and if I do things, I will be talking about how I'm doing them, how I'm paying for them, and I'll be showing different bits and pieces. So I think this is a subject that a lot of people are interested in, because it's kind of affecting all of us now. The fuel costs are going up, but of course there is that question: if you are getting other energy sources, how can you pay for that? How long will it take to pay back? That kind of thing. And there is also, of course, a cost involved with what you throw away. We'll be talking about all of that stuff. Oh, that's really itching now. My leg's gone red. Well, ow, that wasn't good. Well, I suppose the choice there was get run over or get stung by this. So I think I probably chose the right option, to be fair. Oh, that's not good. Anyway, I'm going to go home. I thought I'd introduce Project Green. I actually talk about any of the subjects in the very first video. I don't know whether it'll be next week. I might do a normal running video next week, but in the next Project Green episode, I'll be talking about solar PV. That's going to be the first subject we'll talk about. So I hope you're going to enjoy this series. Subscribe to the channel if you're going to be interested in these bits and pieces, and don't forget to hit like if you enjoyed my waffle, and I will see you for another video, another update next week.